Hi, it's Kevin May in the PhocusWire studio. Welcome, Mickey Beyer-Clausen.
Thank you.
You're the co-founder and CEO of Timeshifter.
Correct.
So thanks for joining us.
Of course.
We have to declare an interest here, and that is that we've all used it. Very different from many of the other kind of startups here. We're not hoteliers or airlines or OTAs, and we can't use a reservation system. But we can use Timeshifter. So a colleague of mine did a trip to the Far East recently. She used it, said it was great. Myself and another colleague have just come over the last couple of days, and I think she's had more success with it than I have, because I just wake up at 5 o'clock and too busy running this thing. But they really like it. I think it's very good. So can you give us a sense about the science behind it? How you've actually come, because it's a tool and it's technology and there's a user experience, but the actual, the sleep science for, I don't know what it's called, but the sleep science behind it.
The sleep and the circadian neuroscience behind it. So it's very interesting. So our co-founder is Dr. Stephen Lockley from Harvard Medical School.
Okay.
And so scientifically, we've adopted all the proven stuff that's available. This is not a gimmick. This is real science.
Yeah.
And I think contrary to what many people think, to solve jet lag, it's not about special diets. It's not about sleeping as much as you can on the plane. It's not about doing your 7 a.m. Workout in the morning. It all comes down to timing light. So if you see the right light at the right time, you can adapt to a new time zone very, very fast. If you see the wrong light at the wrong time, you will make jet lag worse.
Okay.
So that's the foundation of the app, and that is what the science is very clear about, will help you to adapt to a new time zone very quickly.
Because the user interface is really good. So it gives you that little, the time, the timeline and things like that.
Right.
Have you gone through many iterations of the science? Or is it something that you say, okay, that's the protocol that we're going to stick to? Or have you found over time that people have said, in terms of user feedback, hang on a second, that's just completely wrong and it's never worked for me, and you've had that at scale? Or have you been very firm with it?
Yeah, so I mean, the science, nothing will change the science.
No.
It's based on human evolution, millions of years, the Earth, rotating around the sun. So the science will not change. What has been improved is the algorithm behind, where we now better understand the real life of a traveler.
Right. Yeah.
So if you arrive to Hong Kong here from Florida, and we're not going to say to you, go to bed and sleep when you arrive. Why? Because you need your luggage, you need to get in a cab, get to your hotel, brush your teeth, go to bed. So lots of those, we call them practicality filters, have built in to make it easier for us to follow a plan.
Okay.
And make it easier for people to be compliant with the plan. And then, yes, there is so much data now that we receive back that we can see if a certain gender or age group is responding a little bit differently. And that will then be impacted in a future version of the algorithm. Okay. So yes and no.
Okay, so that's the science bit. So we've got that over and done with. So tell us about the business part of your startup. How are you going about getting users, potential jet laggers, we can call them maybe? Yeah, so we've stayed away from a business to consumer model and are focusing instead on a business to business model. It's very expensive to educate travelers about a science that very few know about, and so we thought it'd be better to go to large companies with many traveling employees and say, why don't you make this a benefit for your traveling employees and use that channel to educate those travelers. In addition to that, we grow through channel partners, so airlines, OTAs, TMCs, etc. We partnered with United Airlines recently and just launched last week with them. So now they're offering Timeshifter to their Mileage Plus members, which we're incredibly excited about. It's a great platform for us. It's great for them and their travelers. And we have also partnered with CWT that are then promoting Timeshifter to their many corporate clients around the world. Okay. So is it easier to do it through the partnerships than approaching businesses then? Yeah, it adds speed. Right, okay. Because we are spending most of our resources on the science and on the technology. Mm-hmm. We want to build the best. It is the best tool on the available now, and we want to keep that edge. And for us to have partners that have access to customers, corporate customers and travelers is incredible. Okay, so talk us through your decision making around the payment model, because first time you use it's free. Yeah.
And then after that, and it makes perfect sense, but why did you say the first time is free and then the rest is to pay?
We want to get everybody...
rather than the first 3 times are free.
Right.
Like
so I think that, I mean, obviously the first time free is to get people hooked.
Exactly,
you try this thing and you're likely to get a very different experience compared to a previous experience where you didn't use Timeshifter. And so that's why the first one is free. Of course, we need to make money, so we need to charge something for future trips. And our price model right now is $10 per plan, or $25 a year for unlimited trips or jet lag plans.
And is there a price plan for if you're working with a corporate? So
yes, correct.
If you signed a deal with Google, for example, then
correct.
it will be at scale.
They will then get a volume discount, and they will get some other services too.
Yep.
They will get a monthly report, a engagement and impact report, where they can see on an aggregated basis, you know, how many people followed the plan, how many jet lag plans were created, and how much jet lag did people experience. Okay. So you're going to get a real-time overview of how well it works. And then we can also use, we have a variety of scientists and even astronauts we can bring out to companies to speak, which increases engagement and interest in what we're doing.
Why astronauts?
Well, Timeshifter is based on a lot of work that Dr. Stephen Locklear from Harvard Medical School has done with NASA and the astronauts as it relates to both jet lag and peak performance.
Right, okay. And last question, Mickey, have you're clearly a power user of your own product, right? But has it not worked for you sometimes?
No, it actually has always worked, at least to a very large extent. The one time, I'll tell you this, and this is when I knew I had an interesting business in front of me, and that was when we developed Timeshifter before it was launched. Yep. There was a bug in it, which happens when you develop a product. Yep. And I couldn't use it from a trip from Madrid to New York. Okay. And I was so incredibly frustrated, not about the bug, because the bug could be eliminated very quickly, but because on that trip I couldn't use it.
Yeah, because you didn't know how to rate.
And so it is, a Timeshifter plan is not intuitive. So it's not something that you can just easily figure out on your own or learn. Yeah. It is quite unintuitive very often. So I couldn't, at that time, I couldn't figure it out. And I would then need to struggle with jet lag on that trip. But no, it's always worked for me. And again, it's the proof that the science is correct. I mean, the science is clear. So.
Yeah, I suppose in a way, it's almost, I wonder, because people have specific regimes about what they have to do when they get to a destination. Right. They might have to go straight to a meeting. Right. And the next morning they've got a breakfast meeting, and Timeshifter is saying, don't expose yourself to light until 9:30. Correct. For an example. So
yeah,
I mean,
no, that's a great example. I think that's as you begin to use Timeshifter, you'll learn. I mean, number one, you don't have to follow the plan 100%. Right. It's okay to follow it 80%. Okay. What's important is for you to understand that of the advice in the app, the advice around light is the most important. Right. So there are some other things that matter less. Light is the key. So follow the light advice as much as you can, and you'll have significant benefits. But if, for example, you know, you're in a dark plane and you need to prioritize light. Some users in the beginning, when we weren't clear enough about how to take care of that problem, didn't understand what to do. They thought they needed to be out in the sun. They don't. You just crank up the brightness of your in-flight entertainment system or your computer and watch a movie, do some work. Right. If you happen to be outside in the sun and it says avoid light, you just put on your sunglasses. Right. So it's quite easy to comply with. But if you happen to be in a meeting, and this is back to your sort of scenario, if you happen to be in an important meeting and it says avoid light, do you sit with sunglasses on? No, take them off and have the meeting and put them back.
My sunglasses are under here.
You take them off, you have a great meeting, and you put them back on afterwards. Okay. But I will tell you that the most funny experiences I've had myself time shifting, especially because it's not so known yet. Yes. Is being out in the airport where it says avoid light, and then I'm running around the airport with sunglasses, eating a meal in a restaurant, including with my family, my 8 and 10-year-old, and everyone are like, "What are these guys up to?" Right. And it's fun. It's fun.
What would be great, you know, you've had your exposure here, is if by Thursday you see everybody walking around with dark glasses, then you know you did. I've
succeeded.
Yeah, exactly. Mickey, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.